Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jordan, and today we are continuing our journey from the 1950s to the 1990s in art and music history. Now, today we're still in the 1950s, but we are going to be talking about a particular kind of art called pop art. Now, the interesting thing about pop art, it's all about advertising, okay? Now, other forms of art, as we well know, it's about expressing emotion. It's about really trying to pull something from within, and pop art is unique in the sense that it really kind of throws a lot of that out the window. It's very focused on advertising, trying to get people to buy something, trying to get people to recognize something. It's all about selling merchandise, whether that's a paper, whether that's something else. It's all about selling. So this is emerging in the 1950s. Pop art served as a breakaway from previous movements, as we just talked about right then. Artists in this particular movement felt that Abstract Expressionist was dividing the audience, and now we talked about Abstract Expressionism in our last collection from 1900 to 1940, right? And about how that was very much looking inward through the art and how it was very complex. So this was like the opposite of that. It was trying to kind of push that away and move towards a widely accepted and more accessible form of art. Now, pop art was supposed to be a revolt against traditional art like that was, and wanted to appeal to a wider and more common audience for mostly advertising purposes. A lot of pop art resembles the style that you actually see in comic books, printed in the 1950s and 60s. If you look to the classic, Kapow, Wham, that style is actually really well seen in pop art. If you look at Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe, which we'll have right here, that's probably the most popular thing of pop art that I've come across. It's a very popular piece. He also did one for Campbell's tomato soup, which will also be right here. Kind of a funny comparison between Marilyn Monroe and Campbell's soup, but that's advertising for you. Now, this is when art began to be widely used for marketing and advertising, and at the same time, celebrity culture was beginning to form. Now, before the 1950s and 60s, celebrity culture didn't exist, right? There were popular people who made music, but this cult of personality that celebrities have kind of garnered. If you look today at the Kim Kardashians and the Kylie Jenners and even famous musicians like rappers and pop stars, they had this entire group, they had this entire fandom around them that really just didn't exist back then. Now, this is when that started to kind of come around, and as a result, the fanaticization or the obsession with celebrities really came to a head, which is why we see the portrait of Marilyn Monroe like that. Now, we did touch on Andy Warhol. He did make the Campbell's tomato soup and the Marilyn Monroe picture. He was probably the most popular and easy to remember artist from the time. Andy Warhol was actually the leading figure in the pop art movement, and his most popular works include, yet again, Campbell's soup can, like we talked about, the Marilyn diptych, which was you take the Marilyn Monroe and it's the different variations of hair and lipstick. It's called a diptych. It's just a type of representation. There's also one of Mao, Chinese communist dictator, and Elvis Presley, another very popular pop icon at the time, although more rock and roll, but in popular culture, an icon. Now, thinking about this, pop art is all about big business and advertising. So, of course, when we move on to our project portion, we're going to really discuss this advertising aspect pretty strongly. So, moving on to our project, you're going to look online for different pop art paintings and artists, right? Several will be shown. We did talk about Mao, we talked about Marilyn Monroe, Elvis Presley, the Campbell soup. There's plenty more if you want to look online. Especially for traditional comic book art. So if you want to try to find some examples of your favorite comic books, or maybe superheroes you really enjoy, try and find their comic book origins, this would be a great time to do it. And if you have any around the house, that would work perfectly as an example. That way you don't necessarily have to look at it online. You can get a more in-depth look at it. Now, pop art was made to appeal to the masses and capture the attention of all. So can you think of any ads of recently that have caught your attention? Something that normally, you see an advertisement, you don't really care, but perhaps for this particular advertisement made you go, wow, I really want to buy that. Or maybe it was just really entertaining. You just liked the tone of the advertisement. Maybe it was a really comedic Geico commercial, right, with these really strange and weird skits. Maybe it was a really absurd and insane Old Spice commercial that makes no sense whatsoever, right? What is a particular advertisement? that catches your interest and really makes you think, wow, that was good, that was really well done. Now, let's think of maybe printed materials. Let's think of a movie poster or a cereal box. Do any of those really catch your attention, or is it the contents of that poster that catch your attention, right? Do you look at a poster and go, oh, wow, that's interesting, or did you look at it because your favorite movie is debuting and that's what you're interested in? Thinking about that, what do you see in most of the pop art style, right? So if you look at the pop art style, traditionally from the 50s, you're not going to see a lot of muted, low energy colors, right? It's going to be energetic, it's going to be bright, it's going to pop, pop art. So there's not going to be any earth tones, there's not going to be any subdued messaging. It's going to be in your face, it's going to be loud, it's going to pop. It's going to be right there, right? So it's not going to be hard to ignore. Well, it's going to be very hard to ignore. It's going to be hard to get out of the way. So for step 3, using this handout, which you're going to need a pencil for, color in. We're going to have a mascot. We're going to color in the mascot provided, and then come up with a name for the cereal that it would be on the box for, right? So I'm going to come up with a mascot. We're going to have that on the handout, and you're going to color it in and come up with a name for the cereal that you think it would best be on. And then if you want to go further, you can create a tagline, which is a particular kind of catchphrase for the cereal. Now that can be something like tricks, where silly rabbit tricks are for kids. It could be goldfish, the snack that smiles back, something that helps the consumer think of the product, whether that's in a catchy way or just a way that sounds appealing. Now after that, you're going to want to show off your work, you know what I mean? You're going to want to show off this new mascot that you created to your friends and family. And would they buy the cereal that you came up with? Do they find it appealing? Do they like the name of the cereal? Do they think that the tagline works if you made one? What do they think that you could do better, right? If there's anybody out there that wants to be an advertiser in the future or work in marketing, I have for a bit, and it really is an experience. If you want to do that, this is the perfect time to kind of stretch out your muscles, your creative muscles, and try for something that would really work in that field. So this would definitely be the time to do it. If you want to extend your journey, if you want to create your own pop art for Extend Your Journey, Photo Funny has a great pop art creator online where you can upload any photo that you want and make it in the Andy Warhol style like Marilyn Monroe. That will be linked in the lesson plan, and it'll also be linked in the blog post for anybody interested who wants to have everything just there together online. Now to access our instructional video that you see here, you can always go to ASI online, right, artsfreeinteractive.org. You can check out these resources, which will be in the blog post or also in the lesson plan if you'd like something on paper. And I hope everybody had a great time talking about pop art today, and I will see you in the next one.